Hello, everybody, and welcome to my lunchtime chat, blah, blah, that is sponsored by our Black Hair Matters. And today we are discussing trichology, the hairy business of helping those who suffer from hair loss. And so many people are still suffering in silence. So to recognize the National Hair Loss Awareness Month, it's time to remind you about your options. So I'm excited to be joined by a member of my team and practitioner of trichology who will be joining me shortly. Dana Wilson is here of Hair Cares Inc., and she will be dropping knowledge for those who need help. So you are in the right place if you want to discover how to save money by being diagnosed by a trusted board certified dermatologist. You're in the right place if you want to learn how holistic therapies can increase the chances for hair growth. And if you want to find out why most clients who have been serviced by a qualified and reputable practitioner regret waiting so long. So in case you are new to the platform or you have no idea who I am, let me take some time to introduce myself. My name is Dr. Crystal Porter, and I am a hair scientist and owner of Main Insights, which is a company that conducts research. This is a live online broadcast platform that is dedicated to elevating the Black hair care industry and empowering consumers and hair practitioners with education that is driven and backed by scientific research. I am passionate about this, and it is the main reason why I also assist hair practitioners in getting data to validate their hair services. So before we jump right into it, I want to know who is here with me. If you are a hair practitioner, let us know your name and put a number 1 in the comments. If you are a consumer, put the number 2. And if you are a researcher like I am, put in the number 3. Excited to see who is all here. So we have Renee, you said grand day to you as well. We have Nicole. Hey, Nicole, thanks for joining. And Nicole already asked a question, or let me see. Oh, your passion too. You said, thanks for addressing this so needed topic. Is your passion. I'm so happy to hear that is your passion too. We need more people who are passionate about this. And then we have Joyce. Hey, Joyce, thank you so much for joining as well. So, all right. So just in the event that you do not know, I have a very important resource for you. So if you are frustrated with the lack of information available to you when it comes to caring for your hair, or if you wasted so much money, time, and resources trying to figure things out on your own, you are definitely in the right place. And so my resource is the biggest mistakes to avoid when caring for your curly hair. And to get it, you can go to bit.ly OBHM consult, or actually ourblackhairmatters.com. Sorry, I kind of jumped ahead of myself. But if you are having a concern or you want to talk to a professional, you can schedule an opportunity to speak to one of our team members for a complimentary consultation. And that is bit.ly OBHM consult. So without further ado, let's bring on Dana. And so I'm so happy to have you here. Welcome. It's been a while. I've been trying to get you on for a long time.
I know. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. So I just skimmed the surface. I shouted out your business, let people know that you're a practitioner of trichology. But can you please tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background?
Yeah. So, of course, I'm the director of Hair Cares Inc. I'm a certified trichologist. I am a sister-log master trainer and consultant, a biomedical research assistant, a certified co-capper, a veteran, and of course, more importantly, a mother of a special needs child. So all of that makes sense to share because it all has to do with hair. All has to do with hair. So I help and support people who are experiencing some sort of scalp disorder, hair loss, or hair issue.
Wow. So, how did you even get started in trichology? Because I know you're a part of the team. I mentioned that. And, I want to just kind of give a little background information about what that means, because I have been searching for people who are not only as passionate as I am, but those who are receptive enough to be able to learn about the science behind it. And so
Mhm.
I believe, when you learned about, locks, and
Yes.
learned all about the care for hair. But a lot of times it's not based on understanding science and research. So thank you for allowing me to be able to just expose you to some of the things that need to be considered and a different approach. So thank you with that. But I do want to know, so you've gotten more education with me, but you were a trichologist before I even met you. So how did you even get started?
So, like I was sharing before, I'm a Sister Lock master trader and consultant. And what that is a natural hair management system. So I had lots of clientele doing Sister Locks, practicing Sister Locks. And obviously, I also have Sister Locks myself, but I was experiencing hair loss. Some of my clients were experiencing hair loss as well. And I could not understand why they were losing their hair, or even for myself. And it wasn't the kind of loss of hair like you see it all over your pillow or anything like that. It was just more of a density change. I didn't have as much density as I had before. And so I started panicking. My hair, right? This thing is emotional when you look at yourself in the mirror. So I start panicking and trying to figure out what can I do. Because I had a regular regimen, a grooming regimen. I shampooed, I kept my hair moisturized. I didn't use much chemicals in my mind, right? That was what related to hair loss could have if I didn't have that regimen. So I was confused. I went to a dermatologist. And she told me that obviously I had alopecia. I also had a trichologist friend who started sharing with me about trichology and what and how she could support me. And so I did that. I went to her and I made a lot of lifestyle changes, changing my diet. I started getting into my body, finding out what was going on, if I was deficient in anything. Only to find out I had fibroids. I didn't even know that at that time. But because I started doing research in regards to my hair loss, I started finding out all kinds of things. Also, having a little stress with my son as well. So a lot of things basically came into play in regards to my hair loss. And so that's how I became a trichologist. So I started getting into it even more. Obviously, I had a clientele that I wanted to support as well. And so I just started getting knee deep in education around hair loss. And so that's really how I end up here.
Well, it's interesting that you share your story about your personal hair loss, because I'm looking at a full head of hair.
Listen, I work for this. I work for this. And so therefore I can share with my clients, because the same kinds of things that they have to go through by getting committed and compliant in regards to a treatment plan, I have to do that for myself. So yeah.
You are a walking testimony, right? You actually can tell your story and show that what you do works. So that's
Right.
awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about who is your typical client, because a lot of people just, wait to call, or they're
Yeah.
trying, they're looking online, doing Google searches, and they're like, oh no, I can handle this myself, because
Mhm.
all these products and other people have a lot of claims. And so, who
Mhm.
is your typical client?
My typical client is a woman with tightly textured hair. Okay. That is my typical client. She is someone who noticed changes in her hair years ago and started doing different things, taking different supplements and different lotions and potions and things like that to try to help her own self. And she's at her ends, at the end, basically. She realized now she needs help. And so this person has probably gone through all kinds of different diets and hair regimens that didn't work. That is my
Wow.
typical client. Yeah,
So you think that's like the common history?
I do. I do.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for that. So I want to give a shout out to others who have joined. Just take a pause. We have Renee. Thanks. Well, Renee said good, great day. So, and then we have Nia on. Renee also says that she is a WTS trichologist. Alyssa's here. Thanks for joining. We have Shanae here as well. And then Taria also says that that was a great story. So thanks for
Oh,
that. Yeah. So you are a veteran. You
I
mentioned that.
yeah.
So I recently heard a podcast where they were interviewing a vet and they said they are a little put off when people say thank you for your service. So I kind of pause when I say that, especially when you hear on the news everything that's going on. I know the sacrifices that you make. So what I'll say is, I understand that and appreciate you.
Thank
But with you being a vet,
you.
my understanding is that you have some insight about how veterans can take care of their hair or different programs. Can you go into that?
Yes, I can. Like I was saying earlier, my typical client is someone who's waited a long time, seen that their density might have been changing, was trying different things on their own.
Mhm.
Well, we find that with hair loss, maybe 30% has been reduced before you see it like really with the naked eye. And so that means time has went on. Things have brewed up while you losing your hair. And we also find in hair losses that a lot of it has to do with internal things. And so the military recognizes that it's some kind of internal issue. And therefore some people can get disability ratings for alopecia. So if you know it right away or you see something right away, you go see the doctor right away and get your diagnosis. That will be part of your record as a military person that alopecia is part of your history. Um,
Wow. So
yeah,
you said get a diagnosis. So
yeah,
that's a little different
yes.
because there are a lot of trichologists out there who are like, oh, no, I'll be able to service you. But it sounds like for at least that population or that cohort to really be able to utilize some of the assistance that
Hmm.
they have to have a diagnosis.
Absolutely. They have to have a diagnosis. And even for folks that are not from the military, veteran, or active duty, trichologists right now can offer services that are reimbursable by some of the insurance companies. So the insurance companies in the medical world are acknowledging trichologists right now. It's slow, but they are. And a lot of insurance providers, if you have a diagnosis, they will reimburse you for some of the services. So that's a good thing. But you have to have diagnosis.
You know, I'm glad you're bringing that up
Hmm.
because this brings me to another. I was going to ask this later, but I think it's appropriate to ask it now because a lot of times when someone goes to see a physician or a dermatologist, a lot of times they aren't encouraged to go see a trichologist, or they feel themselves that, oh, I've seen a dermatologist, why would I even need to see a trichologist? So
Hmm.
can you share why someone would even bother to seek additional assistance if they've already seen a dermatologist?
Absolutely. So, going to a dermatologist is a great thing. That's first, let me say that, because you can get a diagnosis from a dermatologist. As a trichologist, I can be in partnership with a dermatologist. So, for example, if you go to the doctor, you broke your arm, the doctor diagnosed you have a broken fracture or whatever you have going on, you get a cast, and then they send you to a physical therapist or occupational therapist, depending on what it is. So they can help you with your program, your treatment plan. They can help you stay committed and give you tips and different things on your way to healing. And that's basically what a trichologist do. We can basically walk with you, partner with you with a treatment plan that maybe the dermatologist has recommended or one that we have created amongst ourselves.
Mm.
So we can work hand in hand together.
I think that's awesome.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I do too. I do too.
All right, so let's talk about a holistic approach
Yeah.
because the word holistic means different things to different people, So,
Mhm.
depending upon the context of the conversation, some people think of holistic as inclusive of many different ways to approach a problem, but some
Mhm.
people think of natural.
Okay.
So I'm just wanting to know because you expressed to me that you are into holistic
Mhm.
therapy, and
Yeah.
I want to know your definition and the advantage of going that route.
Mhm. So holistic to me is whole person. Her whole person concept. So that if you come to me because you're losing your hair, I'm not gonna just deal with the symptoms of it. Meaning, like, say for instance, is itching. Okay. Well, I can't help you with some itching, but we need to see what's internally going on that's causing the itch. So I'm looking at a whole purpose kind of scenario to create the treatment plan. So we need to see, are you deficient in any vitamins? Are your hormones out of whack? Are we experiencing stress? I was just looking at a journal article, one in particular, the Dermatology Practical and Conceptional Journal. They did a study on diet and hair loss, the effects of nutrients deficiencies and supplement use. And basically, they walk away with this study, basically sharing that absolutely deficiencies in different vitamins and minerals are a huge factor with hair loss. So we have to look at what's going on inside and not just deal with the symptoms by providing you some product that we can just shampoo on your hair that will help you temporarily. We're looking at long-term health. So,
Wow. So kudos to you for bringing those receipts, talking
um,
about journal articles and results. That is what it's about. And this is why Miss Dana is a team member, Main Insights, because she is bringing receipts. It's not just about what you think it is. So thank you for that. One thing that you mentioned was itching. And so,
yes.
since this is National Hair Loss Awareness Month, and
Hmm.
you talk about itching, can you talk about some of the things that people should be looking out for?
Hmm.
Because it reminds me, I just had someone reach out to me personally talking about how over time she has scalp itching issues.
Hmm.
And she did not mention that she was noticing any hair loss or anything, but sometimes it's a warning. So as a trichologist, can you explain a little bit about that?
I absolutely have a personal story to share with that, because that was one of I did start seeing a reduction in my density on my in regards to my hair, but also my hair was itching, and I shampoo often, so I wasn't understanding why it was itching so much. And what I found out later, that that was a symptom of inflammation for me. And so that may be a factor for that individual. It could be that you're not shampooing or cleansing your scalp as often as you probably need to. And it also could be inflammation. And that means inflammation in your body. If you have inflammation in your scalp, you have it in your entire body. So that goes back to that holistic concept.
Wow. So I don't know if I missed it or not. Did you
Mhm.
say what type of alopecia you were diagnosed with?
So I was diagnosed with CCCA, which is a scarring alopecia. However, after that diagnosis and my research and all the education I've received, um, I would lean towards AGA, which is androgenetic alopecia.
Mm. Okay, well,
Yes.
so just to give a little bit more background
Mhm.
about CCCA, that stands for Centrifugal Cicatricial Alopecia.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
as you said, that is a scarring alopecia. But
Mhm.
sometimes what happens is you can actively start a program and recover. Well, I shouldn't say recover, but can prevent neighboring follicles
Right.
from not producing hair. So if you approach it early enough, you can actually make sure that those viable follicles stay viable and grow hair. And
Look.
sometimes it can mask some of the hair loss from those scarred follicles that are no longer growing hair. So I do understand, though, the AGA, and I don't know if people know that that stands for androgenetic alopecia. So I know you and I are used to using,
Yeah.
acronyms, but I want to be clear as to what it is. And androgenetic alopecia is usually thought of, and I'm saying thought of now because I just learned about a month ago that they are differentiating female pattern hair loss from male pattern hair loss. So while male pattern hair loss is AGA or androgenetic alopecia, that female hair loss may not have that same mechanism.
Right.
And so, even though we consider them both androgenetic alopecia, sometimes, the mechanism may be different. But that's why research is so important, because you
Right.
find out certain things, but then you need to continuously do different studies and research to really understand why, and not the what that's going on, or the how.
Yeah. Right.
Awesome. So I just want to look and make sure that there isn't any other questions. Let me see. Dana says it's good that the military recognizes alopecia. So when you talked about that, that is awesome.
That's huge. That's huge.
It is. I can remember, I mean, just not too many years ago, they were against natural hairstyles, so now they are changing. So I'm glad that they have now of a more open mind about the needs of all of their uh, servicemen and servicewomen.
Yes.
I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, I definitely wish that what I know now, obviously I wish I knew then, because I would have recognized some things a little earlier, and went and got that diagnosis while I was in the military. So it's hindsight, but I'm glad I'm able to share with somebody else so they can jump right on it.
Right.
Yeah.
And Shanae said that this is so excellent. So thank you. Really appreciate that. So I want to talk to you about your successes.
Okay.
Because I think I've shared this story in the past, but I'm going to repeat it. I once went to a conference and I met a trichologist, and I was really excited. So I hadn't really had a one-on-one conversation with a trichologist prior to that. So it was years ago. And when I asked the trichologist, because she was really excited about her successes and her products and what she was doing. And I can understand, because when you're helping people, you are excited. And so I asked a question, because she referred to herself as a doctor. And at that time, I just kind of assumed that she knew about research and knew about showing statistics and those receipts or the data, And so I asked the question. I said, so, what is your success rate? And I thought that was like just a question that I'm thinking I'm asking either a physician or someone who has a PhD. And she looked a little weird, and then she told me 100%. And I was like, I mean, my whole expression changed, because I was like, that's not possible. But it just kind of, it not only shocked me, but it saddened me, because this is someone who's excited about what she's doing and then misleading people. So I want you to talk about your successes, but then we're going to follow up, and then I'm going to ask you about some of the things that did not go the way that you would have hoped. So let's start with successes.
Okay. So my first success is myself. I'm going to be honest with you, because I too have to manage my hair loss. Or manage so that it will not happen, at an increased rate. So I have to manage this daily for myself. So that's my first success rate story. However, for my clients, I've had, in particular, I had one not too long ago, a client who was experiencing hair loss around her hairline, which that is a very common one, typically traction alopecia. With that particular client, it had all to do with her hair practices. meaning that she was doing a lot of pulling and tugging on her hairline, adding additional hair that was causing it to be weighty. Also, she was using a lot of lotions and potions, like all kind of stuff. And her scalp hygiene was not up to par, meaning the amount of times that she was doing scalp exfoliations or just cleansing her scalp. And so she once she made a lot of lifestyle changes, we've seen increase of hair growth. So she did not have a scar and alopecia where it was not going to return. And we were able to see that right away in the scope if her follicles were closed or if they had any viability to them. So she definitely walked away a happy client. So, and this is something she has to manage, even though maybe the hair had been rejuvenated at this time. But if she goes back to those same practices, she will lose what we managed to have come back. So that was one of them, which was great.
Yeah, well, so before you go into the other one, I want to talk about traction alopecia because one of the things that I noticed before, but I notice even more now. So we just had the Olympics, right?
Yes.
And we know that a lot of the gymnasts in particular have to wear, or the women gymnasts have to wear their hair pulled back. I noticed in the past, but I really noticed this particular Olympic session that more of these young ladies are suffering from traction alopecia. You can
Yes,
see it
ma'am.
all around their hairline, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
And I mean, I think sometimes we do ourselves in when we have a protocol that can be detrimental
Mm-hmm.
to what goes on long term with our hair health. And that's an example of that. Sometimes, especially as Black women, sometimes we want to have that slick look, right? And so
Right.
we're using a whole lot of gels and pomades and making sure that every hair is in place. And anyone who knows me or sees me knows that I'm gonna have those flyaways. And it's funny, I just sent a picture to my daughter because we always, I'm not going to even say what it is. So we always have, I'll say, knots and tangles
Okay.
because of the tightness of our curl degree. And
Mm-hmm.
so I sent her a picture because I had a little knot and a little, really tight curl right in the, like temple of my hair. And I told her, I said, see, you're not the only one who suffers. And so but yeah, a lot of people want to just not have that. And so I mean, I can with my fingers, like kind of pull it back and or use, a brush, a very soft bristle brush and try to put it in place. But in terms of, trying to slick it back, I just can't use those pomades and those
No.
gels. My scalp doesn't like it.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. But I had to have a mind shift before I got sister locks. I had to have a mind shift where I was used to things being laid down, crisp. And so
Right.
now I embrace my curls. So and also as a trichologist, I know that it does not serve me to have that thing pulled back tight all the time because it does havoc on the hair follicle.
Yeah.
Truly, truly so. Yeah, I did notice that at the Olympics. I noticed a lot of wigs, actually. That was the things that I noticed, a lot of wigs.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's unfortunate.
yeah, it
So
is.
before you go into
Yeah,
your other success, because I want to hear that,
yeah.
we do have something that Joyce Norman said. She said, I know, Dana, you recommend specific vitamins or supplements to the individuals who come to you, but just in general, should a person take or use for daily hair care, meaning preventative hair loss if possible?
Mhm. I think I would tell you to go get lab work first to find out what you're deficient in, because you don't want to just take some kind of supplement just because you may be taking things in excess, and that's almost worse than being deficient. So
Mm.
I would just tell you go get some lab work, find out if you're low in vitamin D or iron or something, and then take that. That's what I would tell someone.
Excellent recommendation. Awesome. So Taria says, that's a very good question to ask. What is your success rate? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that's important to have answers to. Now, a lot
Mhm.
of people don't think in terms of that, which is why when the woman said that she was a doctor, I would say, well, she should be keeping tabs of that because that's what someone with research experience does. That's just
Mhm.
what you do. Thank you, Taria, for that. So let's hear about those other successes.
Of course. I had another client recently who had AGA, androgenetic alopecia, and basically she's seen a diminished or uh, basically the density level has reduced. She noticed that and it had been going on for years. Like most clients, it goes on for years before you finally recognize something that's going on. And of course, with her as well, we did a lot of lifestyle changing. It's the diet, the stress in life, working out to build circulation in the scalp. So she was able to make a lot of lifestyle changes where she's seen hair rejuvenated. But success is interesting. When I was listening to you talk about the success rate, and with my clients, it's different. It's not just the hair, growing hair. It's more about the lifestyle change, like changing, taking certain things out their diet. That's a success because they have been trying to work on this for years and finally got themselves committed because the hair was that driving force that that had them say, okay, I need to do something now because I don't want to walk around here looking like this, right? So it was the lifestyle change and the working out, just having somebody to encourage them to commit, to continue to commit to what they have committed to do. But it's lifestyle changes ultimately for their body, but even more importantly for the hair, for the hair. So my success rate for my clients is high just based on those little things that they consider success. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, I help grow hair. So
Yes.
but
Well, thank you for that. I want to talk about what you were saying with the diet. So you spoke of the journal article that supported how diet can play a role in the weight of nutrients in terms of how it can play a role. One of the things that people have spoken to me about is they feel like if you're like vegan or vegetarian
Mhm.
and you have a balanced lifestyle in terms of you do exercise and you care about your health internally and externally with activity.
Mhm.
One person told me that the community that she's in that has a very regimented diet, she feels that there are less incidences of hair loss. And so even though it's anecdotal,
Mhm.
it is something that kind of shows that, yeah, if you have a population of people where you have a very low rate of hair loss and they have a particular lifestyle, that's worthwhile exploring. And
Absolutely.
so I keep that in mind.
Mhm.
And it's something that I would love to include in my research,
Oh, that's
but
good.
they aren't here in the US. And so it would take, a lot of effort to get the data to really understand what's going on. But I would really want to know a little bit more about that. So
Oh, we would need some hair samples.
we need some scalp samples.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, hair and scalp samples.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. That sounds
Yes,
like one I could be a part of. I would love to do something like
yes.
that. Mhm.
Dietary assessment. No, I'm in the process of really trying to get some funding for something like that. So,
Yeah, that would be
yeah.
huge.
All right. So we spoke about those successes.
Yes.
So now let's talk a little bit about the things that didn't work out so well.
Mhm, mhm.
So can you give us an
Yes, yes.
example?
I've had clients come to me, and I know already that I can't help them
Mm,
based off of just looking under the scope and seeing that the scalp has scarred in such a way that it's not likely that the hair will come back. So I'm honest from day one that if it's not something that I feel like that can be recovered, I will let them know right on the spot, so that I don't get their hopes up high about something. That's one. Um, the second kind of client that typically there's no success is they're not really committed to the treatment plan. A treatment plan could look like shampooing or cleansing your scalp every other day, along with other things like lasers and microcurrents, all kinds of different technologies or therapies that can be used. And so it's something that you have to be committed to. It's not a shampoo that you're going to shampoo today and that's it. And so it's typically the person is not committed to the process and they're not compliant with the regimen. So that's where I see where I don't have that much success. Or that person may be eager in the beginning and then just fall off. So that's typically the client that we don't see success with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you just said, and in full transparency, I think I mentioned this earlier in the past. I worked with Nadia Hughes
Yeah.
for some hair thinning that I started to see, and I'm very grateful that with her regimen and her guidance that I've started to see some success. I should say I've started to see. I have had success,
Right.
but I have to tell you, the cleansing of the hair every other day,
Mm-hmm.
or even sometimes even a recommendation of every day, I'm like, okay. And so I'll be honest. So I'm like, you don't understand. I'm like a hair classification 4C. I don't have short hair. I mean, it's not long. I mean, if I wore it straight, it would hang down to my shoulders. But I don't have like short. I don't have a short natural.
Gotcha.
I have hair that's going to get tangled, and then the type of shampoo, if it's not a conditioning shampoo, then I'm going to have a hard time detangling it. And then how am I going to look? I mean, these are all the things that
Mm-hmm.
people have to like deal with. And it's like, okay, you want me to cleanse my hair every other day?
That is
How
such
am I
a
going to look?
such a common concern.
Yes.
So you really do have to be committed to the process
Yeah.
to see the results that you want. And so a lot of people come and say, "I'm ready to go," but then when they find out what it's going to take, um, they'll take themselves out of the game, basically. But that's where I usually is not successful in that area if the person's not committed.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. People do need to believe that it's not like trying to pop a pill and everything is going to be
Right.
okay.
No, this is not instant gratification. It, like I said, 30%, you'll have 30% hair loss before you even see it with your naked eye. So it takes a long time for you to even lose it. So it takes your body some adjustments to the different lifestyle changes and different hair regimens that you're not used to as well. So it takes a while. It's a patient game, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you do with the person where their follicles aren't viable? I mean, they still have self-esteem issues. They still, want to look and feel beautiful. So,
Yes.
what options do people have when their follicles are no longer able to grow hair?
Some people choose to get a prosthesis, to a medical. Basically, it's a medical wig, right? They can get a prosthetic aesthetic done. I affiliate with people who make those. I personally have passion around trying to rejuvenate hair, right? So I don't make them myself, but I do affiliate with others who will do that. Or in the meantime, whatever they have, we can work with whatever they have, right? So we can enhance their beauty with the styling options and things like that.
Okay.
Mhm.
No, I think that's awesome, to be able to have, just options. And unfortunately, there are just some people who are still trying to regrow hair,
Yeah.
and they're wasting a lot of money without having an assessment, which is why so many people are like, oh man, I should have come a long time ago because they could have saved a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
But I know people who, regardless of their current situation or diagnosis, they still are in denial and are trying to regrow their hair. And
Mm.
my heart goes out
Yeah.
because it's not just a female thing. I know you spoke of
Yeah.
the people who you help the most as being female and
Mhm.
usually textured hair females, and those who wear natural styles. But men,
Oh,
it is unbelievable. Well, I shouldn't say it's unbelievable. Everyone cares about how they look. But in my opinion, it's socially acceptable for a male to just shave their hair bald.
but they don't want it. A lot of them don't want to do that.
You're absolutely right.
You know?
You are absolutely right. But it's socially acceptable for
Yeah,
them to do it. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh, it shouldn't, be too much of an issue, but it is.
it really is.
It is, yeah. And so for those, I've been amazed at how many phone calls I've gotten. So even though I don't do hair prosthesis at all,
Mhm.
I had a run of people calling me, only men, calling saying, they want to know if I help with prosthesis. And I'm like, no, that's not my service area, but
It's
it
not
is
my area, but I can definitely get my clients in contact with the affiliate of mine that does provide those services.
okay. And so when you say that, do you service people remotely?
Absolutely. I do that primarily, actually. I do it primarily on a virtual platform where we're doing something like this a Zoom call, a virtual call. Um, I'm able to send out the individual a dermoscope so we can take pictures of the scalp so we won't miss that piece. And of course, have them dig and dive internally by getting lab work and things like that so that I can see what we're working with. Because remember, this is a holistic approach. So I'm not just gonna give you some product and have you go your way. So we have to work on the inside and the outside, and then we'll meet in the middle and grow hair. But yes, I
Awesome.
do that virtually. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to address some of the questions because I did see some things come through. Um, Shanae said, great response. You've been talking a while, so it just sounds like you're just giving great information. So thank you for that feedback. Taria says, right, I can wash my hair every day, but not wash and comb every day. Oh, that's funny. So I have to say, Taria, you're getting tripped up like me. So when I say wash hair, I always go because I don't mean to say that. I mean to say cleanse hair
Yeah,
because in the business of not only trichology, but also cosmetology and barbering, they
yeah,
say you don't wash hair, you wash clothes.
that's true. That's true.
And I don't agree with that, but that's a whole, but I do try to respect the lingo that you want me to use. So I try to say cleanse. And I don't know if you noticed, but I kind of hesitated before I said cleanse because in my mind, I'm like, don't say wash, don't say wash. So Taria, I know what you mean by saying wash hair. And I think everybody knows what you mean that you're talking about cleansing hair. But yeah, that's the issue that I have. It's very difficult for me to manage my hair if I cleanse it every other day. Joyce says scalp exfoliation. She says new to her, something you can do yourself or should it be done by a professional and how often?
Yes, you can definitely do a scalp exfoliation on yourself. You want to look at it the same way where you cleanse your face every day, but then you do maybe do a facial. You get a facial done, so you're doing a deep cleanse of the scalp, and so you can absolutely do that for yourself at home. And I would do it at least once a week.
So, what does that do? Can you explain the benefit of a scalp exfoliation?
So you're going direct to the scalp. Typically, when we go to shampoo our hair, we're focusing on the hair, right? But with a scalp exfoliation, you're actually um, dealing with your scalp. You're putting the product right onto your scalp and you're pulling off any debris. And then some of them, depending on how potent it is, toxins out of the scalp as well. So, so you're
Okay.
getting a deep clean.
Okay. Taria asked, what is a hair prosthesis? Is it like a hair unit?
It is a medical wig. That's what it's considered because in most cases to get that you're going to have a prescription for it, and that means you've already had a diagnosis as well. to get a prosthesis. It's basically a medical term for wig, honestly. It's really no different.
So I know that a lot of people get training on how to make hair prostheses.
Yes, they do.
And I mean, it's a range. I mean, people spend thousands of dollars for it.
Yeah,
So
especially if it's in most cases with a prosthesis is natural hair, it's real human hair. It's not synthetic. So that's why typically you have to have that prescription. It costs a lot of money because people are hand doing these wigs, basically.
yeah. And then sometimes it's custom fit because when you go to a shop and you get a wig,
Mhm.
it's just, one size fits all basically.
Right.
But when you're getting a professional hair prosthesis made, then it's usually custom to the
It's
shape of your head and like you said, the natural hair that you want to have. So,
Yeah, it's definitely custom, and it costs custom money too. I'm be honest.
but I've seen beautiful work. I mean, so is it called like man weaves that at least I've seen the headlines on the video, man,
Oh yeah,
whatever. But to me, it's a beautiful work. It really is an artistry, and I'm impressed. I mean, that's not anything that I personally ever want to do or get involved in making hair prosthesis, but I can admire what they've done. It's just fabulous.
and especially for example, if it's not a whole entire head, they can do different sections. So if you're having issues right here in the top crown of your head, they can make it custom for that particular area.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So Taria says, LOL, I'll update my lingo, cleanse my hair. Yeah. Don't get caught up in that debate. And then Taria says, thank you for sharing that. And then Renee says, it's great to see the work done from start to finish. Yeah, I bet it's very rewarding for you to actually see where people or the state in which they come in and then the state that they leave. I can't imagine.
Yes, and it's not just the physical part of it. It is their whole mindset and feeling empowered around their health, and so that's the most important piece that I enjoy is
Yeah,
that personal impact. Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
And Renee says, I love performing the services. And Renee is a fellow trichologist.
yeah.
So, yeah, I can imagine. All right. So, in the theme of it being National Hair Loss, Hair Loss Awareness Month,
Yeah, and
are there any parting words that you would like to share so that people can, actually be thinking about it? Because we definitely don't want any of our viewers doing what others do, and that is regret waiting so long.
right.
So, can you just leave with some parting words? And I'm going to give some information on, how to reach you. But
Okay.
are there any other messages that you have?
I would just tell you, you don't have to suffer in silence. I mean, there really is different remedies and therapies available to us now that we didn't know before. I know a lot of people who come to me, a lot of them will say, my mother's hair was thin, or somebody in the family line. So they didn't know, they just thought that that was just going to be part of their destiny, that they were going to thin as well. They didn't know that you can do something about it. And they just surrendered to this is going to happen to me when they could have come to us a long time ago to get the help. It's no different than if you have some disease in your family line. They always tell you, ask you your family history. You have cancer in your family. Do you have diabetes? Because you could do preventative things that will prevent you from that being part of your story. So the same thing with hair loss. The sooner the better. The sooner you come in, the sooner somebody can help you, so that you don't have to go through seeing the results that your mother did or so forth. So don't have to suffer in silence. There's help for you.
Thank you for that. So we do have a question, and as we're wrapping up, if there are any other questions that you have, please put them in the chat now. But Shanae says, do you offer essential oil services?
No, that's not my specialty at all. Essential oils are not my specialty.
Yeah. And you have to be careful because some essential oils will trigger certain things in your body. So you have
Yeah.
to make sure that you are in tune with what's going on with your body. And to be honest with you, I know a lot of people use essential oils haphazardly in terms of, oh, I heard this is good, so let me use it. I have a very close family member who did that. And
Mhm.
she actually had to go to the hospital because her blood pressure went just,
Wow.
out the roof. It was horrible. So be very, very careful because you hear all these benefits, but if it's not compatible with what's going on with you health wise, then it can definitely be detrimental. The
Definitely
other
an art and a science with those. It's definitely art and science.
It is, and I don't think that people realize, and I was listening to presentations in a symposium just last week,
Okay.
and they were talking about research that were being done and how they were getting inconsistent information based on how people were responding to iron supplementation. And
Okay.
so that just is further evidence. I mean, I see it all the time. I definitely see it with hair science, but with any type of supplementation or even health studies, you have such a wide range of variability when it comes to person differences.
Mhm.
And so the way our body responds to you in taking certain things or just having I would say environmental changes,
Right.
it doesn't necessarily mean that it should be a one size fits all approach, which is why there are so many different drug therapies out there. Because if we could all use Lipitor to decrease our cholesterol, then we'd all have just Lipitor. But then we have so many options for that particular problem because all people aren't created the same. And so
Right.
there's going to be a different response, which is why we're trying to get out, and I say we as scientists, we're trying to get out of that trial and error approach
Mhm.
because that is what's being used day in and day out. And now we're able to see, okay, we really need to understand it more. And I could go on, get on my soapbox
But you know what?
about
Like
different.
Dr. Porter, what I'm hearing a lot of is we really are going to personal service in general or personal and custom items in general because it has to be specific to the person. That's why you can't go get a product and shampoo your hair and say, for someone, it might be great because it's something that they needed, but somebody else is not. So it is personalized. Everything is personalized.
Yeah, it needs to be. But even right now, the personalization approach is still trial and error. And so that is why
Yeah.
teaming up with people like you who are interested in not only servicing, but also having us utilize the data so that we can understand even more. That's why it is really important for us to team together, not only with researchers, but physicians. But we really need to close that gap for the mistrust in the industry. I think that there are a lot of researchers and physicians who just don't trust the ability of hair practitioners such as yourself to be
Mhm.
able to carry out some of the things that are needed for us as researchers to really hone in on what is going on so that we can disseminate the information so that it's really customized. Right now, it's customized for what we know and sharing of information and
Right.
digging a little deeper, but we still need to know, why are some people more susceptible to hair loss in the first place? What is it uniquely about you that made you lose your hair? Because I know plenty of people who have crappy diets, who
Mhm.
have a head full of hair and
Mhm.
have, beautiful skin and
That's
are
right.
having issues. So what is it about them that they don't have these issues? So, we need to understand more, but I want to thank you for being able
Yeah.
to be a part of the solution. But we do have a question from Latricia Strong. She says, just joining the live. What do you do after losing some hair due to hair braiding? Okay. My scalp felt like it was just processed while it was in my hair and after removing it. Great question. Dana?
Said she lost hair after getting braids done.
Well, yeah, she said losing hair due to hair braiding.
Oh, okay. Well, my first question is it done really tight? That would be the first question I would ask. And then also, what kind of hair are you adding hair to the braids? Are the braids added hair because maybe you're having some reaction from that particular kind of hair as well? So,
Yeah,
mhm,
so what she said is, and what I assume, because she
mhm.
clarified like it was just relaxed. So just processed, she means like it felt like it was just relaxed. So it seems like it was a burning sensation
Oh, wow.
with the braids in her hair. And you have a great question, a follow-up question, Dana, in terms of asking whether or not it was, hair added, because I would be willing to bet it was.
Hmm.
Um, we do have preliminary data out there from a hair prosthesis study that I did with students at Chicago State University, and we definitely saw an impact in the scalp health of people who wore hair prosthesis.
Hmm.
We still need to work through the data more to see, well, actually, we need a higher N, which is meaning a higher number of people to participate. Excuse me. But one of the things that we noticed is you can have inflammation and
Hmm.
inflammation and irritation from different types of hair or added hair
That
weave.
hair, right?
And we heard that for a long time. There are people who are like, oh my God, I use this particular brand of hair and I just had to take it out as soon as
Right.
I couldn't even keep it in a day. So we've heard this.
Hmm.
Oh, and she said synthetic hair was added to
Okay.
hers to do a crochet style.
Yeah.
Oh, and Renee says Letitia Strong is her middle sister. That's
Well, that
funny.
was her sister.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. And she used Kanekalon. I can never say that right, but the hair is
Oh,
a
okay. Hmm.
Kanekalon hair. So any additional insight?
No, those would be the questions I would ask, and then of course I would tell her to go see a dermatologist or a trichologist to kind of do some process of elimination as well.
Yeah. Well, cool. All right. So thank you for your question. But I think that is it for today. I am so grateful that you were able to come on.
Glad to.
I've been asking for a long time. When you gonna be able to come on? When you gonna be able to come on? So yay, it finally happened.
Perfect.
But for those of you who would like to connect with Dana,
Mhm,
she is based out of Richmond, Virginia.
mhm.
And she is a part of my team. So you can go to the OBHM consult, our Black Hair Matter consult, and you can schedule an appointment with Dana. I am excited that she has, allowed us to be able to get additional data. So when I say us, I mean us as researchers to get additional data as she is providing her services. And so it means the world so that we can be more predictive and more proactive in helping people. So, with that, just remember our Black hair matters.
Yes.
And as always, take care and love your hair. Bye bye.